I'd like to welcome Minister O'Donnell to the House, and first motion, Senator Marc MacSharry. Senator, you have 4 minutes.
Thanks very much, Cathaoirleach, and Happy New Year to everybody in the House, and Minister to you, and welcome to the House. This is in relation to the Four Masters Bridge and also Lennox Bridge, which connect the community of North County Leitrim, particularly Kinlough, with County Donegal and the towns there of Bundoran and Ballyshannon. Lennox Bridge, first and foremost, is a single-lane bridge that's there for many, many years. It's currently cracked, and most recently, last weekend, the most recent head-on collision took place on it. I think there was relatively minor injuries on this occasion, but it is clearly one of the worst roads in the country and does require urgent action by government to have it upgraded to a 2-lane and made safe. The Four Masters Bridge, just further downstream, these are all over the River Drowes, which separate County Donegal from County Leitrim. And that bridge was very badly damaged in the recent flooding and now is unsafe. It's a protected structure, and that road is now closed. Back to Lennox Bridge for a second. Per day, in the region of 4,000 crossings take place on that bridge as the local communities go about their daily business in terms of the closer, larger towns being Bundoran and Ballyshannon for shopping, schools and so on. And other administrative purposes. Now, with the Four Masters Bridge also closed, those numbers have gone up, and I've already pointed out to you the fact that accidents are very frequent. Fatal accidents may not be far away at all, sadly, because of the nature of it, and the reality that, as we saw in Lennox, County Mayo, these are our old bridges that could, in other flooding, be quite simply swept away, which would cut off these communities completely. There are no plans that I am aware of for the immediate upgrade of these, and I have been in contact with the county manager of both Donegal County Council and Leitrim County Council, hoping that they urgently petition you for immediate funds and supports for this. It is a critical situation for that part of the country, not least in tourism. The Drowes fishery is a very important one. I was speaking to the owner of that fishery, and this part of the world is important to that part of the country. This time of year is important to that part of the country, as perhaps the 12th of July is to some in Northern Ireland, in terms of the tourism, people who come trying to catch the first salmon, which I gather is yet to be caught, and it's also had a detrimental effect on that. Finally, Minister, when there are crises in this country, regardless of the financial constraints that are on departments, whether it's a refugee crisis, whether it's a flooding or homeless crisis, or indeed other issues where government are forced to come up with funds, they can do so. And all of those causes that I've just mentioned are of course worthy of government support, and monies can always be found to attempt to solve these difficulties. The community of North Leitrim and South Donegal are no less deserving, and these are bridges that, quite frankly, have been left to the elements for far too long, and we see with the Four Masters its integrity is very seriously damaged now, and it's closed, and we have the accident-prone single lane of Lennox Bridge, and I would appeal to you to do all you can to liaise with both councils and come up with an urgent, immediate remedy for both crossings. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator, and I also want to wish him and the House best wishes for the new year too. I want to thank the Senator for raising this matter here this afternoon, and I will be this gives me an opportunity perhaps to give a wider perspective on what has happened to our transport infrastructure across the country, and I will be doing so in the Shannon in the Dáil this afternoon. As you are aware, the most extensive impact of the weather to date in the transport sector has been on the road network, and within the road network I am including the very bridges and kinds of bridges that the Senator is referring to. This has caused very serious disruption to daily life in many areas and has led to the actual cutting off, in some cases, of small communities and households from the rest of their own communities. The priority of local and national agencies to date has been public safety, and there has been ongoing communication between local authorities, state bodies and residents in affected areas to ensure that people were aware of the safety messages that have issued in relation to travelling in flooded areas and in relation to roads closures and roads diversions. An Garda Síochána and local authority staff, along with other relevant agencies, have worked closely to ensure that warning signs were in place, diversion routes organised and signposted, and information and advice made available to the public via websites, social media and local radio. The Road Safety Authority have been very active over the past month in supporting and disseminating safety measures for all road users. In relation to the scale of damage and the response back to the scale of issue that Senator MacSharry has referred to there, local authorities and Transport Infrastructure Ireland have advised my department that at this stage it is not fully possible to get a comprehensive view of damage to road pavements until the floods have fully received it and investigations and assessments are carried out. Bridges which have been damaged as a result of the flooding and storms, including bridges such as those raised by the Deputy, will need to be inspected and a detailed assessment of the damage undertaken. TII have engineering consultants on a bridge framework available to commence inspections once flooding has subsided. Where underwater inspection is required, this is a very specialist area and only a limited number of the consultants have the capability to undertake such inspections. The Chief Executive of TII has written to local authorities offering the services of the framework consultants if there are non-national road bridges of concern that they consider need to be inspected. In certain cases, it may indeed be months before fuller information is available on the cost of repairs, while in other cases where water levels have receded more quickly, the time frame may be less. In any event, my officials and those in TII will engage with local authorities to minimise the time frame associated with critical repair works. The Department of Environment, Community and Local Government have been taking the lead in responding to the immediate needs of local authorities arising from storms and flooding, and have provided funding to local authorities to allow them to deal quickly with the clean-up and measures needed to provide road safety. The Department has also sought submissions from local authorities setting out both the estimated short-term costs and costs related to damage to infrastructure, including transport. This is to give us a full picture of the full cost, and I am currently working in pulling that cost together. 25 of the 28 local authorities have reported on their estimated infrastructure damage costs, and my department is now reviewing these estimates. The capital budget for my department for this year is very tight, and I have asked my officials, as a matter of urgency, to assess areas, such as where Senator MacSharry is referring to, where funding can be reprioritised or reallocated in order to deal with the consequences of the storm. I do know that the scale of damage incurred and the overall substantial cost will be very large. It will require a response across government. I am working with ministers in relation to that at the moment, and the kind of project and the kind of infrastructure need that Senator MacSharry has alluded to here and raised with me this afternoon, Cathaoirleach, is an example of the kind of work which I accept we will need to respond to in the coming months.
Senator, question?
Yeah, just thanks very much, Minister. Look, sadly, it's a very generic response that's probably typical of, and could be said of most counties in Ireland in terms of flooding damage and so on. I'm disappointed that you're not saying to me, look, I've spoke to the officials in the department, they are going to engage with the county managers of both counties to prioritise this, because it is effectively, as you said, cut off this community. Now, I know there's awful flood damage all over the country, and I commend all of the services that are undertaking great work to do that. But I do feel that in the context of the Four Masters and Lennox Bridge in North Leitrim, South Donegal, must be prioritised, and I would hope that when you go back to your office today, you might have a conversation with the Secretary of the Department and ask her to make contact with both county managers. Thanks.